Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Atlas. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Rocket Companies Incorporated, what happened today, what you could potentially be expecting to happen next. Just try to get yourselves a little bit prepared on this stuff, guys. And just so you know, based on my name, if you haven't already guessed it, I mostly focus on cryptocurrency stuff, but I've been delving a lot more into the stock stuff lately. I've been discussing things like AMC and GME, and I have some other videos on that if you guys want to check that out. If you guys are interested in all this stuff, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up like button as well. Let's try and get this video to at least 100 likes. Also click the bell icon so you can stay up to date with all the most relevant news and technical analysis and all that kinds of stuff. And guys, just a quick little disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I might actually try and register for that in the future, but currently I'm not. So it's just a quick little disclaimer on that stuff. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive into what's going on here for this. Okay, so first off, we saw it was a huge exponential growth for the day, right? We're talking about 71%. That was during market hours. It did have a little bit of a retracement back. We'll talk more about this in just a minute, what's going on with the technical analysis side. But first off, some of you guys might have been like, I don't even know what Rocket Companies is. I've never heard about it. And so let's just go and run through a quick little breakdown on that. This is through their website, ir.rocketcompanies.com. And Rocket Companies is a Detroit-based holding company consisting of personal finance and consumer service brands. Founded by Dan Gilbert, tech-driven Rocket Companies provides industry-leading real estate, mortgage, and financial services, empowering consumers through entities including Rocket Homes, Rocket Auto, and Rocket Mortgage, the nation's largest mortgage lender. Since 1985, we've been obsessed with helping our clients achieve financial freedom and the American dream of home ownership, right? So they've been around for a minute. It's not like they're a brand new company. We're talking about since 1985. They're older than I am. Key metrics here, they got $320 billion FY 2020 mortgage originations, $15.7 billion. Right here, FY 2020 total revenue net, 91% FY 2020 net client retention rate, 24,000 team members. Just some simple little broken down metrics for you guys on that, right? Now, this is in comparison to what happened with GameStop. I want to go ahead and show you guys this very briefly here, but this was an 80% increase, 88% increase on that green daily candle position. And over here, as we were talking about, we had a 71% increase. So looking like it's definitely the formation of a squeeze. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute. Okay, let's actually go ahead and start off with what's going on in the news. So Rocket Companies stock skyrockets. S3 says rally and short selling is reminiscent of another meme stock. And they're going to be referencing that of what happened with GameStop, right? So the whole meme stock kind of thing, even though it's the squeeze that's going on. People are calling it memes because I guess it's mainly being talked about over on the subreddit, and it was mainly pushed because of the amount of shorts that are going on these positions, and people don't like the idea that people are being able to profit on something when it's going down and essentially trying to help manipulate to the point where these companies go out of business and other people are making a profit on it, right? So over on Yahoo Finance, there's actually some quotes going on here. Rocket shorts are crashing and burning. Read the title of S3 Analytics note to investors on Tuesday. But in a GameStop-esque twist, as old shorts buy to cover, we are seeing new shorts building short positions as stocks borrows becomes available. Wrote S3's Ilhor Dusiniski, I think that's how you say his name. Short interest on the stock is $1.21 billion or 45.83% of the float according to the firm's data. It's also the fifth largest short in the banking sector, okay? So it's got a lot of stuff going on with it right now. Over on the subreddit Wall Street Bets, this was getting a lot of attention. I mean, this thing's got 18,500, a little bit more now. I just gave it one up as well. And this guy, earlier, he posted that he was going YOLO, and now he's basically updated his thing. He said, this aged well. He went up 71%. He put it in from $1 million, right? $1.217 million. He went all the way up. He's now $2.9 million. And look at his username. His username is Sir Jack A. Lot. Like, I really spaced out as I'm saying that. Gotta be careful with these things with YouTube and how their algorithms work and everything, right? But this is this guy's username, and he just made $1.7 million basically on this YOLO type moment and sharing it with Wall Street Bets. So a lot of people really have funneled into this. Really good payday for him, and just wow. Okay, wow, just wow. Much wow. All right, so this is what's going on with Rocket, okay? So Rocket has 15,000 short shares that are available, and as far as the short borrow fee rate, it's 59.39%. By comparison, if we take a look at what's going on with that of, say, AMC has 600,000 short shares available, and there's 8.65% on the borrow fee rate. And if we also take a look, let's just go ahead and look at what's going on with the GameStop side, right? So if we look at this with the GameStop for the short interest, they have 250,000 short shares available. So again, I'm comparing this with Rocket only having 15,000, GameStop having 250,000, and the short borrow fee rate is 3.1% for GameStop, whereas it's 59.39% for that of Rocket. So very interesting comparison side by sides when you take a look at those and put that into account, right? Okay, so now as I was talking about this, you guys can actually see when this squeeze was happening with GameStop here, and this was an 88% increase during the day, during the aftermarket hours, guess what? Things ended up starting to rise quite a bit, and then we ended up having the daily candle position open up at $355. So the post-market today for Rocket was not in that same sort of sentiment. What actually happened today is after the market closed, it had a further drop down. And interestingly enough, if we look at this from a Fibonacci sequence perspective, it did drop down and tapped onto the 0.786 on the Fibonacci sequence, right? So on this Fibonacci sequence, this puts it right around $38.23. This is not to say that during the pre-market for tomorrow, we don't see it start to have an exponential rise. More news is going out, more people are making YouTube videos on something like this. This very well could end up pushing very heavily like what we were seeing with GameStop, right? That is something that is possible. You should never underestimate the value of apes, of the diamond hands, man. People want to go protect their hedgies going after their attendees going after the hedgies. I almost got that confused there. I did get it confused technically. And so you guys can see that if this ends up moving, we're talking about quite a bit of a difference from that initial day position. Even if you look at it from like the daily candle close that happened with GameStop on the actual opening for the next day, that was 139% difference on that point of view, right? If this decides that it wants to try and push something similar, 139%. Let's just say hypothetically if it was to try and do something in comparison with a price movement like that, right? Well, first off, let's go ahead and make sure I get my stuff set up right here correctly, price range. There we go. So the daily candle closed right here, and we're going for 100. I got to zoom out on this one right now. We said it was 130. It's like 140% or so. We'll round it down to 139, right? Okay, so let's just say like 139. That's more or less what we're talking about. That's just under $100 price point, and essentially a 2x again on whatever your investments are with this. There are some call for concerns, right? To assume that it will duplicate what ended up happening with GameStop is something that you should be very cautious with, right? We are seeing cryptocurrency still having a bit of a struggle going on. The stock market itself was having some pullback. AMC ended up closing out, having some pullback. GameStop itself on the daily did actually close out in the green just a tiny bit, and then ended up having the aftermarket hours at like $2 more at $120. So it's still looking pretty good, don't get me wrong. But the fact is that this ended up pushing pretty heavily right here, and then in the next day's position, it opened up at a much higher point, and then ended up having quite of a significant drop, right? So that drop actually made it bounce down to the 0.5 on the Fibonacci sequence, and at the peak, it went up to the 0.786. So 0.786 to the 0.5. We're just looking at some things in the association of these positions, right? So the 0.786 is where it actually closed out today, and that could theoretically mean that if it was to have, let's say, a further drop down tomorrow, instead of the rise up, and it was mimicking that from a Fibonacci sequence perspective, this very well could drop back down to $31.44 before it decides to try and maybe continue a further move up, right? So these are some key levels that I want you guys to really keep your eyes on. I'm not a financial advisor, okay? So please keep that in mind. But when I'm looking at this and I'm looking at side by side, what is it that they have in relationships? And the Fibonacci sequence is a mathematically based chart pattern, and I can see some resemblance between these two. So right now, I would be cautious. If anything, I would be looking at this from a perspective of when the pre-market opens up and how is the movement going on with that. If it's looking like it's starting to rally, it's holding itself up pretty well, it's pushing back towards this $41 zone, then I think we are looking much more probable of it having a further continuation on. It could be a fake out though too. They could be rallying it up a bit so that more people start to funnel in and they think it's going to get back towards this daily candle close of 41.56, or it's going to try and get up to that peak around the $43 range, and right as it's passing past that halfway point, they decide to go ahead and dump it because now they've dollar cost averaged out their position or whatever, right? So the fact that it dropped down pretty significantly after the market hours does air a bit of caution in this. The RSI is significantly overbought as well. That's quite concerning. And this is coming across as, again, like one of those big meme stock type moments. I would say, personally, looking at it from a pre-market perspective, if this can actually manage to break above the 41.60 cents, and you got a couple minutes at least where it's able to maintain and hold that, that could be a great barrier of entry for that. Obviously, the sooner that you get in with something, it's called first mover's advantage, you're going to be able to have the most benefit reward reaped from it, right? But what if this fully retraces? What if this goes all the way down? I mean, I talked about the 0.5 level, right? That's down to $31.45. So you're losing about $10 on every share that you actually own. That could hurt. That could sting quite a bit. If it canceled out everything, let's say this was just a complete pump and dump, I mean, we'd be going all the way back down to $27. So can you handle those kinds of losses if you come in on something like that? If it does drop too much, you could always set up a stop loss. And those stop losses, if you're trying to figure out where they're at, I would be honestly looking at the Fibonacci sequence from this. It's such an exponential growth in a short time frame, and there's nothing really that much to be able to compare within this space, right? We have like a point right back here, and that actually lines up pretty well with the 0.618. So, you know, anything that drops down below this, like let's say $33.65, that would be sub the peak of this previous candle. So by comparison with that, I think we should have some pretty good support being established right around the 0.618 on the Fibonacci, and that's the next level down from what we're talking about with this. So you do have multiple levels to try and keep your eyes on for sure, but right now things are looking pretty good, guys, and I would really honestly just take a look at what's going on with the pre-market tomorrow, and if it rallies up, $43.18 is the first objective goal we got to try and get above. $57.78 is the next main objective goal, and then we could start pushing up to $81.65, and then basically $100 right there, and then we're getting to really upper territory zones of $105.28. So in theory, if this was to push similarly like what GameStop was doing, I think we could see a peak move towards $100 per share as of tomorrow. The only concern that I have is that we had quite a substantial drop after the post-market with what happened with this stock, right? So depending on how much people are moving in with it, take a look at some of the news articles earlier in the morning, see if anyone is really starting to rally up with this stuff. The news is only one element with it. Don't base everything just off of that. I gave you guys some metrics to really keep your eyes on it. And I would say tomorrow morning, what direction is this going to be moving? If it continues to drop pretty heavily in the pre-market, then this could be a project that was just a one and done type thing. And although people want to believe that they could jump on the next gravy train, the next GameStop, it doesn't mean that this is it, right? There could be another project. You got to keep your eyes on the technicals and try to keep your emotions out of this type of thing. So once again, if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up like button. Let's try and get this video to at least 100 likes. Click on the bell icon as well so you know whenever we have a new video, we have new news. Maybe I'll go live with this kinds of stuff as well and you guys know what's going on there. Drop a comment down below. Tell me if you guys got in with Rocket, what your guys' thoughts are. Is there anything I may have missed? Let's form an awesome community with this stuff. I know I've been really heavy with the crypto things, but I see how awesome and supportive the stock market community is as well, and me delving more into this as well. I'm seeing some really good projects and potential with these things, so I can't wait to see how this channel continues to grow. I thank all of you guys for being here. You guys have a wonderful day or night, whatever time it is for you guys, and I will see you in the next episode.